So today we are going to be focusing on all the various customizations you can do, mostly for record types and lead types. There's obviously a ton of customization, but we're going to focus on the features that apply to the records files. We're also going to go into how to enable certain features that are going to be really helpful during AAP, like your scope of appointments. And if you're on the AMS plan, you can also enable ACA Consent and fillable forms. So we're going to be going through quite a lot of items. I'm going to try to break it down the best that I can do, and try to get some better vocabulary around some of the options you have. So that is my goal. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. All right, so coming in, we have our little disclaimer announcement here. So CMS disclaimer recordings, blah, 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 intensive trainings are underway. I'm going to update this and then post the video from yesterday in there on the help article. So check that out. I hate posting too many things. People get annoyed with me. So I will try to add that in there. So I'll do that after this call. All right, so coming into your dashboard, let me go into full screen. Okay, it's good to know. So what I'm going to do is give you an overview of some of the customizations that are available. So we're just going to look it over. And so if you're not catching all of the vocabulary that I'm giving you, don't worry about it. I'll cover it again. Also, we always have the help app where you can click in here, view previous messages if you've asked questions, or search for an article. So if you're like, I need to do some custom fields, you can literally just search for that article and it's right there. Or you could go to help.radiusbob.com, or you can also just ask us, like, hey, I'm debating between a tag and an analytic for this specific idea. What do you think is best? And we'll give you our best advice. All right, so now let's look and see all this stuff. So let's just go into leads. So when we go into a record, they've got their notes, they've got their information. Now this is going to be the core thing we're going to focus on for customizations. Here we've got name, then we've got this company info. That's an option for you. Email, address, blah, 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 county. I'm going to add counties to my little list of things I want to talk about. Then we've got our analytics tables. I'm going to go into that next, but that's basically kind of a super powered custom data field meets a tag. And it's really used for high level reporting and automation actions. Again, we'll cover that in depth more later. Then we now have Medicare options here. So if you want to enable your Medicare fields, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few minutes. If you already have created custom fields for these factors, you will probably just keep them where you have them right now. Don't enable these extra ones. Don't confuse yourself. This is really more for people who are newer to the system. So I would just recommend, if you've already been set up in a way you feel comfortable using, don't add those fields, just only add them if you are new to the system or don't have those fields already. Okay, then below that, we see some coverage types under additional information, like nickname, planned retirement, retired, yes or no. These are custom data fields. I will be showing you how to use those in just a few minutes. But I also want to call your attention to the side. Here we've got this important information. That's a call out from those additional coverage or custom fields. That is going to be an option when we're building the custom field to say, you can highlight these on the right-hand side. Important dates. This is helpful for like deceased, especially if you do life insurance. A really nice touch that you can do is send a condolence card a year after a person's passing to their beneficiaries. It's also kind of nice sales time. Like, you're not going to think about getting their own life insurance when they're in the middle of estate madness, but a year later, they might have seen the value of having had that life insurance policy. So it's a nice thing to do. Plus, it might make you some money. Wedding anniversary, employee start date, whatever is important to you on these dates. All right, then we also have product custom fields. One really important product custom field that you could create is a cell type, especially for people who sell Medicare. You might have a cell type for new to Medicare, agent of record change, or plan switch. Why this is really impactful is when you are on the AMS plan, you have these really amazing things called commission matrices. You can then set it up so that way, if the person is new to Medicare, they get this plan rate of $108 as opposed to a plan rate of, or a commission rate, I should say, of $601 if they're an agent of record change or plan switch. So this is how you can utilize the product fields for those commission matrices. We're covering that in a different topic, so we're not going to talk about that really today, but I just wanted to bring it up. Sometimes knowing why we have all of these things makes it a little bit more helpful to understand how you want to utilize them. Okay, then also we've got custom tabs. So this could be for like doctor details or call scripts. So we're going to cover those in just a minute, but I just wanted to show you that those are also options. Now let's look a little bit more. If we go to the lead page, we'll notice that there's all these other things that we can customize, like status disposition. Honestly, statuses are one of my favorite things to focus on in these intensives. I'm going to restrain myself a little bit, but the reason why it's so important is because that's going to be the primary way that you're going to trigger workflows. So getting your own vocabulary of how you work a lead from a new lead all the way through a paid up and renewed client is really important. So we'll go into a little bit more depth on that in the automated workflow section, but this is something that's another customization that you can create. Now we have lead source. So this is back to that analytics table. I think analytics are a little hard to understand because they're not just a custom data field with like text entry, but they're also not a tag, which you might be more used to using. This is so sad, and I feel like I can say this, but I feel like tags are now the redhead stepchild of Radius. The reason is you kind of, if it doesn't work for having it be an analytic table or at a custom field or a product custom field, it might be a tag. So it's kind of a last resort type thing now, but it does help you keep organized and you know, you will be able to use those in the cases that it doesn't apply. Another thing that people will get confused between tags and statuses. So status is where the person is in the work process. Are they an active client? Are they a new agent recruit? Have you set an appointment for them? Those are where they are in the process. But a tag is a grouping. So like AEP review needed, connect your priority list, something else, right? Needs doctor RX confirmation. Those are groupings that are independent of the work process. Okay, so analytics. Here are some examples that we have. So lead source, marketing campaign, consent for marketing, preferred language. If you do groups, maybe something like years of employment. Let's look at creating these because you can only create 5. So it's an important idea for you to get so that way you can then figure out how you want to use them. So before I show you how to use them or how to set it up, I'm going to show you why you would use an analytic table. So if we go into settings, automated workflows, we can actually set up a workflow that's super specific. So let's say I want Facebook Spanish leads, new to Medicare. So that's my campaign. So it's for leads, with a status of new lead. And then I can do preferred language as one of my analytics because I've got Spanish speakers in the office. So I want some of the messaging to go out in Spanish. And then I can have a lead source of Facebook. And maybe even another analytic of what the actual marketing campaign is. So maybe you have a Spanish new to Medicare campaign that you're going on. So you don't have to cross-reference all of these things, but I'm just showing you that it is possible to do. And analytics tables are one of the ways that you can do that. Another really helpful thing is that you can go to reports and do a saved report based off of those analytics. So here's an example of a lead source report where if I run it, it will tell me what the campaign is, what the status is, who the lead source is. So this was a doctor referral. This one was a Facebook ad, and it's going to group them for me. So I know exactly how many of each, basically how impactful my lead sources are being. So that's an option for you. Okay, now let's look to see how to build one. So we go to settings, we go to analytics. I like using this little filter because it's just too much to see with everything else. So analytics. And now we could add a new table. We only get 5 tables, so I'm already maxed out. But pretend I added a table. I'm going to name it. I'm going to give it a field name and sort order 1. So it's just first in the list of all of the analytics tables is all that means. Then I'm going to add values. So here I've got Acme, Datalot, IG, Facebook, Stone Cold Leads, Next Gen, Referral, blah, blah, blah. And I can add as many as I want. So I'll add another value of basic lead source. I don't need that alternate description. It's just optional. So if they come through as basic lead source, whatever. So I'll probably put that towards the top of the sort order list since it's B and I like things alphabetized. So I guess I did not alphabetize that right. So let me put that to sort order 1. And now it's alphabetized, see, Acme and then basic. So nerdy. Anyway, Poppy Berry Hooch. So anyway, this is how you add those leads. So you just hit add new value, or those lead sources, I should say. Add new value, enter the description, give an alternate description if you want to, sort order, and that's it. And so now if I go to my leads and I go to my lead source, it's listed there. Now, let me just do a little quick bulk update, and I'm going to show you how you can then utilize that in a filter campaign. So what I can do is I can bulk update all these people to change their lead source to basic. And maybe I'm also going to say preferred language, English, whatever, anything else we need, right? So now if I wanted to filter by all of my new leads, I'm not going to do that since I don't remember who I did, with basic lead source, with the preferred language of English, I now have my filter list. And you can then call that list easily. Same thing with saved reports. If you have the AMS plan, you'll have this progressive dialer there to just do that very fast call. Okay. Hopefully analytics are slightly more interesting, even if they're not totally understandable. But just think of them as super powered custom data fields and you get 5. So you choose wisely. I think that's the best way to phrase it. Hopefully. Okay, so moving on, let's look at some other customizations you can do. So we'll go into settings. This time we're going to go into email, columns, calendar, and other optional features. Edit. This is where you can enable those company fields that I showed you, the Medicare fields that I showed you. You can enable profile images. We'll come back to the scope of appointment and consent forms later. Product fields, this prescription entry, which we'll cover a little bit at the end. Custom agent fields. So this one, for example, is states licensed in and license numbers. Or maybe I want to put in, we already have NPN now, but let's say you also wanted to know their favorite color or favorite sport. Would be at least a little useful for management. Anyway, this is where you would enter in your date fields. So deceased. This would apply to records only. I don't need to track everybody's deceased dates per the product. Hopefully somebody only dies once. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so for the records or the record products only, or for both. So most things are going to be either records only. If you wanted to do an annual review based off of a product, you could do it for record products only. Something that we already have now, which I like was in the past, some people used application date as both records and record products because they would want to know when the person first applied, but also when they applied for the specific product. We now have application date in the product level, so you don't truly need it. Okay, and then you would just go here and submit those settings. So that's an excessively brief overview of adding in those custom dates, custom agent fields, prescription entry. We'll get back to those, and then those Medicare and company fields. Now let's look at the coverage types themselves. So this is where you'll be able to, and that was settings, and then coverage types and custom data fields. So this is where you can add in your coverage types or remove things that you don't want to use. So here you can create one for Medicare, Med Advantage. You can organize them so they're a little bit more specific. So maybe we'll move drug RX up here. You just have to remember to scroll down and save the sort order after. So let me add Medigap up there too and save. You can, if you're never going to sell PNC, you can delete this coverage type. The only thing with deleting is that it's gone. The information is gone. And this is a lot of stuff to reconfigure. So maybe just push it to the bottom and don't really worry about it. But you can delete it if you want to, with caution. Okay, so then you can create another coverage type if you needed it. So maybe you're like, I don't see motorcycle insurance on here. You would hit add coverage type, motorcycle. We'll make it a standard display. If we displayed it across all coverage types, it would be very similar to how additional information just always appears. Or we could display it as a tab. This will be helpful. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. We'll create a tab specific to a call script. But displaying as a tab is useful sometimes for things that are needed across more coverages, like the doctor example that I showed you earlier. But for this case, we're going to do it on standard display. I don't need to show it on agent records. This is the agent recruitment section. If you're on the AMS plan, you've got agent recruitment as well as the leads and the clients. We'll hit add. And now I can start creating custom fields for motorcycles. So VIN, I probably already have VIN and auto. So, but for motorcycle will be the name, the description can be VIN. The type, is it a text field? Is it a date field? Text area, which is kind of like what you see here in this description where it can be long. Encrypted field. So if this was a social security number or something like that, you would want it to be encrypted. Why? Because you're so secure already. But encrypted fields are stored at rest, and then they won't be available at the snippet level for like email customization or reports or custom report fields. It's just going to make it so that way you don't accidentally send it in something that you're not supposed to send it in. You'll still have access to the information, but it will be secured from you accidentally doing something with it. And then this is that display on right-hand side column that I was calling out earlier. So that way it's just a quick little view on the right-hand side column. You can also require it or remove it from the agent view. Both of these, I would say, take into consideration that your agents might need the information. And then also that if it's required information when they're filling out something, it's going to make them fill it out. So if it's not truly required, don't do it. You can display internal notes there if you want. and add. So if you are trying to clean up some of your custom fields, another thing that I would mention, you can, rearrange some of these things and then save that sort order. You can also move things. So if you wanted to move something, let's say it was Med Advantage, and you wanted to move that into Medicare, because Part A and Part B really apply to all people within Medicare. Also, we already have those fields, so you don't need to do them anymore, but regardless, I'll edit that. And then instead of deleting it and putting it in somewhere else, all I'm going to do is move it to additional information and save. So I'm able to kind of reorganize things within this. If I wanted to delete it so I'm not confused, I could delete it. However, all data in this field will be destroyed and cannot be recovered. If there was data in this field on any record, it would actually show a sample of the records that it was in. But if you type the word destroy and then hit the word delete, it's deleted. And it's even going to be say like, are you sure you want to do this? All data is going to be removed. And you say, okay, and now it's gone. Just want to let that soak in for a second. Because so many people are like, I accidentally deleted this field. I'm like, how did you accidentally delete this? You literally have to like type the word destroy, hit the word delete, say okay. Like, no. Anyway, that's my personal agita for you for the day. Okay, so just don't delete stuff. Just move it around. Make it easier for all of us. And so that's how you can organize that. Then let's talk about dropdowns. So we can create as many custom dropdowns as we want. So here I've got some options already. So cell type. If I wanted to add in another value, I would just click in values and then hit new record. So right now I've got new to Medicare plan change, agent of record change. I don't think that there are any others, but let's pretend that there is one. Life event change. I doubt that that's a reason to give a different price, but for that example, so there you have that. So let me delete that because that makes no sense. Now, if I go to drop down home, I could create a yes, no. So I'd add a new drop down, name it yes, no, create, and then add those values of yes. New record is yes. The value could be Y if you wanted it to be, and 1. And then new record, no, and 2. Create. So that's how you would do that. Easy peasy. Now I go back to my coverage types and data fields home. And then this is when I can then utilize that drop down to create a custom field. So if I hit create custom field and I say, don't have any good examples, planning to retire at 80. Wait, can't use question mark in this because this is the field name. So I'll do it in the description. And then I can select that drop down for yes, no. And now we have it in there. We also have product custom fields. So this is where you can add in those custom fields regarding the product itself and the custom scripts. So here we've got a call script. We can add in a header for, hi, this is from Best Insurance Ever, whatever it is. You can format it to a large header, bold, whatever you want to do. It's really nice and fancy. So organize it. How old are you? So this is the start of the call. And then maybe, so you can add in the headers, which are just little like call outs of what to say. And then the fields are actually going to be those questions, and then save that sort order. I am going to let you guys absorb that information while I plug in my computer because it is not plugged in right now. So absorb that information, come up with some questions, pop them in the chat, and I will be back in 2 shakes. I'm back. Okay, so don't see any questions popped up yet, but oh, there we go. So Stacy, I am going to wait on that question about her workflows until we have an actual dedicated day that is going to help you build those workflows. So that is a full topic on its own. It's not, we wanted to do deep dives on these. So sorry about that. But yeah, do not set tasks. It'll be awful. Just use the workflows. Okay, great. So, but we will be covering in this how to maximize the time that you're actually spending on the phone using those consents that we need to get. So, all right, so we've covered how to edit those. I just want to review very quickly that if I go into this person's file, I see the important information over here. I have my important dates that I've created. I also have my company fields, my Medicare fields, my additional information. And then if I choose a coverage type as the primary coverage type for this person, I will also see that down. No, I don't have any fields in that. Let me do auto because I know that there's a lot of fields in auto. As soon as I do that, the auto fields populate. So the same thing happens with a product. If I add a product in for this person and assign them a coverage type, let's again say auto insurance. I'll set that product to in underwriting. I know Aetna doesn't sell auto insurance. Let's just imagine. And then if I scroll down here, I've got my additional information and then I've got my auto insurance information. But more importantly for you guys is that, let's say that this is Med Advantage and I'm going to put the effective date in and the renewal date and the app submit date. And I don't know why that doesn't make sense. Once you get the policy and the customer number, definitely enter those. But remember, we have that cell type of new to Medicare. And then you'll notice that this populates the commission. Again, that's another topic of the commission, but I just want to show you that that's how that was set up. So that way you had your cell type of new to Medicare and that impacted the commission just now. So here we see that it's a $600 commission there. And then I save that. I also have the doctor details and then the call script that we were creating. So that's the custom tabs that we went over. One thing before we move on, I do want to talk about counties because this is something that not everybody is aware of, why counties are so weird in radius. It has to be from a list. So I think I've got Florida in this list. So if I put this person to Florida, the Florida counties are going to appear. Why? Why are we so specific? It's because a lot of Medicare especially has products that are associated with specific counties. And that impacts your commission, or at least it impacts the products that are available to the person. So that is why we have you go into settings. Then you go into the counties, so states, provinces, and counties. In the states, you can set your default state now. So that's an improvement that we made a couple of years ago. which I don't know if everybody's aware of, you can click edit and say, this is actually the new record default. So if you're licensed in only one state or primarily do business in one state, you can set that state default. I'm going to go back to the counties. And now I'm going to go to counties. I'm going to import counties. I'm going to go to my help app and I'm going to search for help. And I'm going to say, I need all the Alabama counties. You're going to look for that Alabama list. Now, granted, I wrote this a while ago, but if you think that there are any new counties in your state, check it out. Grab this whole list, pretend I did, and then paste it in here. And then select the state, Alabama, import. And now your counties are added properly and they can be mapped properly against the actual products that are available in that county. I know it seems a little ridiculous, but it's the reasoning is because there's functionality behind the county that's a little bit more exceptional to other CRMs. Like most CRMs, you'd be like, just it's text entry. It doesn't matter if I call it Winston, Florida or Winston, Alabama, but in our world, it does impact. Winston isn't just something that exists in the world. It only exists in Alabama for this specific purpose. And just so you see this, so you don't think that I'm just crazy, if I go into the products and I add a product in at the end of this, it'll say, is this only for people in specific counties? And then I can say, yeah, it's only for people in Archer and Aransas, Texas. So that's the reason why you have to do that little weird customization. Sylvia asks if we will get recording in today's training. Yes, we will. I will do that as soon as possible. Okay, so now let's go on to ACA and SOA. So if I'm in a lead or a client file, I can, if I'm on the basic plan, I can send my generate SOA and you fill in the original method of contact. This should be displaying, we're going to actually improve this. I'm going to show you how it will be improved in a moment here and where you'll set this. So this is now going to be that I represent 7 carriers with 170 products, or whatever you call it. And then the date it will be completed and you submit it. Then if I go to my files, I'll see that requested. And if she's like, oh, I never got the email, you can send it via text. Send that text message to her, or you could open it for a signature. So let's look at that. So this is how she would be viewing it as a lead. And then here she'll, hopefully keep all of those checked. She types in her name. You've got that plans the licensed sales represent will represent during the meeting and submit. Okay. Once she completes it, it will show that it's been signed and where it was signed. So what the IP address, all of the things that CMS wants to see. And then if you wanted to download it, it would look like this. And those just live in their files. Same thing with consent. So consent for ACA, this is only on the AMS plan. You said if it's going to be in English or Spanish, as the default, the date it'll be completed and submit. Again, we're going to be adding in more information about like the number of organizations, all that good stuff. Then if you see this completed one, this is how it looks. Now, when the person gets it, if it was in, let me just send it out. Submit. One of my favorite things about this, I have to go in and out to get the file. So when it's requested, if I open it for signature this time, you'll see that it can just change into the Spanish version. So you can just switch them back and forth if you wanted to. Yes, Lily asked about the obtaining RX data from Medicare folks. Yes, we will cover that later. Okay. So before we go into that, I do want to show you how to set this up. So we go to settings. We go to email, columns, calendar, and other. We scroll down. We enable electronic scopes of appointment. We type in, we can choose type in our signature pad for their signature. The default plans to represent. So this is your organization represents 7 carriers with 170 plans. Whatever you want to type in there, whatever makes you guys feel most comfortable with the language, put it in like that. ACA consent. So enable that. Again, that's only available on AMS. Typed in our signature pad. We have default email templates for you. So you can choose from those. If you do not see your email templates in that list, I will show you how to do that in just a few moments. Then we have our landing pages. Poppyberry, please hush. Sorry. So we have our landing pages. You can create other ones if you want to, but we gave you 2. And then you're going to scroll down and save. Then you are going to go to account, my information, SOA. You're going to sign and save. Each agent has to do this, by the way. So the settings section that I just showed you is the admin sets it up, but every agent needs to go into account, my information, SOA, save their signature, and then add their sales rep IDs. Usually the NPN is going to be the one that's the default, but you can have, you know, your California license, you can have whatever IDs you want to utilize on that SOA. Okay, so that's that. The other thing to know in this account, my information section, we now have an NPN here. You will want to add that in there. Even if you've created it in a custom agent field in the past, leave it there and use this NPN number here as well. The reason is it's dependent for the ACA consent. Another thing that you might notice if I generate an SOA, actually, I think it's just on the ACA consent, that the agency information is in there. If you need agency information, you will need to go. This is a little bit frustrating to me. You would need to go and create a downline agency. I usually do not recommend people create downline agencies if they do not have a large team. But if you want your agency level NPN and your agent level NPN, this is what you would need to do. So you would add the agency. And add the contact, the agency NPN. I would add in the physical address for sure. I once worked at I worked at 123 North Maple Drive, Suite 123, Beverly Hills, California. I'll never forget it. It was like the craziest address ever. 90210. Bizarre. Okay, and then you just need an email in there. You can put in your logo. Add 0 for not having a limit on that. Agency type you don't need. You're not going to put an upline if you don't need one. I would not do that if you're just a single agent, don't do it. Then you have to go into account manage users and make sure that every agent is associated with a upline or a downline. See how there are some of these unassigned users? They're like off in another land. You're not going to be able to find their commissions. You're not going to be able to help them with things. It's going to be confusing. So make sure that you edit them, go to their account and assign them to an agency. So this is why that step is kind of annoying. Oh, wait, sorry, it's agency, not account. So best insurance for Eva. And now we'll be able to actually see her as an agent. So bit of a process, but if you want that agency information on that ACA consent, that's what you have to do. There is one other thing that's a little bit hidden because it's not a perfect solution at this point, but in the AMS plans, we also have fillable documents. So this is in settings. What you can do, I'll just show you an example. Here we'll give it a description. It's assignable to records instead of contracts. That would be for like agents. So if you had like an agent onboarding process, you could actually have a PDF that they can fill out. So we'll assign it as an active template that we can use. You have to upload the template of the PDF there. So this is what it looks like. This is my PDF. And then you're going to set notifications to which users. And then for the record assignments, you're going to have a little redirect URL, a landing page that says, thank you, you submitted this form. You'll also have to create an email template and then manage fields. So this is the annoying part. This is why we haven't been advertising this yet. Well, not that we advertise, but you get it. Like we're not mentioning it too much to people. I just wanted you to know that this is a possibility. So the field name is John, the sample is John, and we see it here. So this is this field name for first name. This is for last name, but you have to kind of get it in the right places and you have to map it really, really nicely. It is available for you if you need additional forms other than the scope of appointment and the ACA, but not the easiest. If you get into it and you're like, hey, I'm pretty close. Can you help me with this? That's a great help app ask. So ask us on the help app. If you're on the AMS plan, you should have it. Don't know. Okay. I will look for you. I'll do that later. Okay. So it's kind of annoying anyway. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Also, I wanted to flag to you that you have an option on your dashboard to have unsigned scope of appointments. So here we can see that I do not have these scopes signed yet in advance of some meetings that are coming up. So I might want to just text them a reminder and be like, we need this 48 hours before our meeting. Thanks. Right? And you can also use a template. So you can utilize a text template so that way you don't have to even type that. Okay. You can open it for a signature. If they walk in and they're like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You can just open it for a signature right from there. You can hide it by clicking on that. And then you also have these other customizations. So see how there's this week's tasks and this is account activity. So that way you can see any SMSs that have come in or anything like that. It's just going to show you the most recent account activity. We also have some saved reports. Very nice. So this is something that you can customize. So if you go to settings and dashboard, edit, this is where you can add in your saved reports. This is where you can display last inbound calls, display the 10 outbound calls, display the tasks for the week, display the unsigned scope of appointments, and then any recent activities. and then submit. So a nice little way to customizable that. I will get back to your DocuSign question. It's not really a DocuSign replacement at this point. It is something that they could do that typed in signature at this point. For fillable, I'm sorry, I always forget that you can't see the questions that I'm looking at. So the question was on fillable forms, can they sign it just like DocuSign? Not exactly. So we are working on that fillable forms, so that way it gets closer to what you would need for that, but it's not a replacement at this point. We're working towards it. Oh, you can see questions. Okay, good. Well, you know what though, on the video, you don't see the questions. When I open it up, when on the recording of the video, you won't be able to see my questions. So I should explain them at the very least. Okay. So that's the dashboard settings customization. Oh, I also want to talk about another really important concept is that on the AMS plans, you now have the ability to customize your record types. So you've got clients. Here, this is one from the other day that somebody asked for high net worth clients, leads, employees, business partners. So on the basic plan, you only have leads or clients. On the AMS plan, you've got leads, clients, and agent recruitment. But you can add in as many as you want. So I could go to settings, settings, record types, and add as many record types as I want. An archive is probably the most important record type that I would consider. The reason why is because then I can put all the deceased people in there. I can put in do not contacts, moved out of states. I want to maintain their records for sure. I don't want to delete a record ever, but I need to put it somewhere that I'm not going to take action on it. So I'm not going to send them birthday cards. I'm not going to send them all these things. So by removing them from the main marketing aspects, I can then not market to them and not use my birthday campaign for people that are in the archive. You also can customize the way that this gets viewed. So you can use custom columns. So this first column can't be changed, the probability, name, and type. Then you can have like address, city, state, zip. If I don't need that level of detail, I could just say county. And then maybe contact information. So phone, email, cell phone, status. Since this is an archive, maybe I don't need the agent and I want to use something else. So since it's the archive, maybe deceased date. And then update. This is possible for you to do customization for all of those views, but let me just show you how it looks in the archive now. So remember when I said I added in deceased date, it's here, but this person's just a do not contact. So let's knock somebody off. Oh no, I like Yvette. No, just kidding. She's not real. I made her up. So I'm going to set her status to deceased. And then I'm going to set her deceased date. Oh, I guess I already did that. And then I am going to convert her to an archive. Convert to archive. So now when I get there, I think I stopped that conversion from happening. Client not found. Don't work too fast is the motto. There we go. There she is. So Yvette Stewart, and then I see her deceased date. So it's a nice way to customize the view of each record type. Even on the basic plan, you can customize your lead and your client. So, know that that's there for you as well. So settings, record types is that customization. Okay. Let's go into the RX update. So now what we're going to do is look in somebody's file. And they need to be a client. So let's go into Steve. So here, if you've enabled the RX tab, which has been in your system for a long time now as an option. But here we can add in the prescriptions. So typically what you've done in the past is you've said, this person's on drug A. I don't know their RX code, so I'm going to put NA. It's generic, 5 milligrams twice a day. They're currently taking it, whatever. They need to have something. So why I put NA in that RX code is that you have to put something in those fields. You don't have to put anything in notes, but everything else needs to get filled out. Now, this leader client, I'll disable this self-service so we can see how this happens. So we can enable the self-service for this client and they will get 2 emails. So you do need to have them get an email. So let's say email@email.com. Or actually, wait, for this exercise, I'm going to do radius 007 user@gmail.com. Save that. The reason they have to get this as an email is because it has to come through a portal and an encrypted password. It has to happen that way. There's not a workaround like the scope of appointments that we showed you before. So what happens is they get emailed once you hit enable self-service. Now, if you see here, this is my little sample one here. So they get a client summary and they also get this password. So they're going to grab this password. I'm going to copy that. Somebody asked earlier, it's so long, they won't be able to type it. Just have them copy it. It's intentionally long. So then they'll have that password and they'll have the portal information and then they get to go in there. It's going to show the policies that they have with you, any documents you've shared with them. And then it will have the prescriptions. So here they'll be able to edit. So if he's like, I'm not taking that anymore, I'll just say, no. I would not delete it because they might end up taking it again. Then they'd have to type it all again. And then they can add prescriptions. So it's nice and easy for you. It's a really great feature. RX code is like, you know, when you get a prescription and then it's like, says Lipitor, and then it says like 11758A, whatever. It's like the code that the formulary is used under. If you've ever seen Connecture or something like that, they have all of those codes in there. You don't need to track it necessarily. It's more like we're working towards something where this can all be pre-populated for you and they would just have to select the right drug. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So we had to build that in a way that it was possible for the future. We try to think of things. So there we go. Okay, so to customize those emails that they get, let me just see here. We would go into templates. And so let's look at the client access link. So client access link. So this client summary page here, we can edit this one. You will want to edit it. The thing that you cannot edit is the template name. And you also cannot edit the snippet that has their link. So do not edit this nor the template name. But I would obviously, like, you can make this prettier, put your company name in there, and then enter something like, make sure that you enter something into each field of the prescription entry. If you need to put NA, that's fine. But other than fields like notes, they all need to be filled out. Email me when it's done. So that way, you know, they've completed it, right? So that is the email template. Just make sure you don't change the link and you also don't change the template name because the system needs to know which template to send. Same thing with the password. I probably wouldn't recommend editing that at all, except for the name of the company, things like that. Then you also have So somebody said before to me, oh, I don't have those ACA email templates. Hit restore default templates. It will not override anything that you've already created or edited. It will restore all missing default email templates. They're missing defaults because we've added them into the system after you've already started using them. So we can like shove things in to people's accounts with these restore default templates, but you have to choose to do it. Stacy asks, how do you load websites on the portal? So there are two things that we can talk about. One is on the carriers edit, you can edit each carrier and go to documents and add their schedule of benefits and also website links there. And if you do, once you've uploaded them, it'll be on the carrier info section. They'll also be available in their in the clients section as well. So if you have an Aetna policy, so let's see what product he has. So he's got BCBS. If there's a BCBS email attachment, it will be there. If we go to his website links, it might be there. So the portal is right there for him, or for you to use within his file. There's also website links that are customized in settings, and then website links and attachments. One weird thing is you have to add a website category. I believe we now give you defaults, but you have to at least have one category. So just like do other, most of it's like carrier or other, but you know, business, I don't know, whatever, sort order for, create. So I guess I already had business as a category, but then you go to settings again, once you've created at least one category, website links and attachments. And now you can add a new link. So this could be, the description could be Google Maps. The website has to have either HTTPS or HTTP://. I've been asking for that to be added over here into the instructions. It is not yet there. So just know that you have to do that. And then www.googlemaps.com. The category is other. And then if you want to do something super fancy, you can set it up here. So you can push information to Google Maps from that file, for example. It's really fancy, not the easiest thing to explain, especially because we're at time already, but here we can put it on the left link menu. It would appear over here in links and files if you do that. You can add it to the client website, the top navigation bar. It would appear up here in this links section. So you've got a lot of options for where you put those things. Let me just make sure that that was actually, yeah. So Stacy says this would be helpful to redirect them to call the customer service lines associated with their plan. Absolutely. So another thing that you can do is you can have it in that the client websites there, right? And then you can say you also want it on, I think it's just the client websites tab. Let me just see. I've got so many options here now. Client view screen. Let's add that. Okay. So now if I go into a client file and I go to their files section, you can attach a file and you can even attach a website link and give them client access there so that when you send that enable client self-service, it could be there. If you go to their website links, it's also here, but it's just not automatically associated with the self-service center. But yes, it is very helpful. And then on those email templates as well, just know you can always add website information there too. So it could be like, fill this out and then visit, whatever. And I love to use buttons for, download here or visit Aetna for more info. And then in this little link, you just type in Aetna.com, or you can use a special link to grab the carrier attachments, or you can link a file and upload a PDF. Lots of options. I know we're out of time, but like we've already covered everything. Let me just go through some of these questions and see if I've missed anything. Feel free to pop in some more information, or more questions, I should say. AMS. I'm so sorry, I missed that really early on in the call. AMS is just one of the plan types that we have. So we have the basic plan, which is kind of like our legacy plan. We wanted to make sure that we kept our pricing as stable as possible for people, but we haven't had a price increase in like a very, very, very long time. So we built the AMS plan because we had wanted to release more features, but they were very expensive for us. So that's why we have the AMS level plans that have more of the features. So they've got like the full dialer, they've got the customizable record types, they've got ACA consent, they've got all these various things that are going to be more helpful in really organizing your business. It's basically, it stands for agency management system. It's just more features for you guys. That's all. Anything else that I missed? I know it's a lot. I think somebody asked me about landing pages as well. These are more like the consent, just like thanks for filling this out, or meeting is confirmed, more just landing pages. It doesn't really replace a website, but you can add videos to it. You can add a whole bunch of things. I use it sometimes for training stuff. So I'll pop in like, here's a link for this, here's a link for that. So I'll use that frequently. So yeah, that's just another tool that you have if you want to dive into that customization. Lily says, I like the way you have the categories. Is there a way we can get a skeleton of it? I wonder if what you mean, I'm trying to think. You might need to clarify that to me a little bit more in the health app later, but in the status options article, I do give you like a little table down here of like, what are some status option ideas? So the grouping would be leads, and then here are the status dispositions. Here are the clients, their status dispositions. So these are just ideas. I don't know if these are the categories that you're talking about, but I think that this is a good place to start. And if you're like, define this, I keep trying to make a glossary for you guys, and I just have not been able to do it. So if you give me the categories, I will give you a glossary at some point, because it's tricky. There's so many features and it's so powerful, but it can be a little overwhelming. That's why we do all these intensives. All right. I am going to wrap this up then. Keep the questions coming. Stacy, please join the automated workflow day so that way I can handle that question with you then. It's going to be totally specific to how to use workflows during AEP, and use the help app. Thanks. See you guys later.